Oh, I'm trying to do these before it gets too sticky. It's not terribly hot today, but the dew point and the humidities are up in the 60s, which makes it like sticky, sweaty, even though it's not that terribly hot. Um, so today we're doing chapter 26, Genesis 26 and 27. And it's going to get a little more confusing now. I actually did a kind of a little family tree to try to keep it track because there's some crazy marriages going on here. So, there's another famine like there was in the time of Abraham. So Isaac and his entourage and his herds went down to Gerar, just like Abraham had done. And God again told Isaac, don't go to Egypt. He keeps telling Isaac, don't go to Egypt. So Isaac and, I don't know why it's Isaac, it's spelled Isaiah, but, and Rebecca did the same thing that Abraham and Sarah did with the brother sister, only they're really cousins, not brother and sister. Um, but because Rebecca was so beautiful. But nobody took Rebecca into a harem like the king took Sarah. But King Eben 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 Abimelech Abimelech. I said it the other day. Was still alive, and and Isaac and Rebecca were there for quite a while, and King Abimelech saw them acting like a married couple. And so he called in Isaac and he said, "Hey, she's your wife, isn't she? Not your sister." And Isaac's like, "Oh, yes, but I was afraid that I would get murdered so that somebody else could have her." And the king was like, "Seriously, you guys got to stop doing this. You're causing way too much trouble." And from the earlier chapter with Abraham, that the king actually got cursed until, or got and was in big trouble until God told him to send Sarah back. So he's like, but the king sent out a decree saying, "You may not harm either one of these two. You may not take them, you may not harm them, leave them alone." And Isaac actually did well in that area, just like Abraham did. He grew in wealth, and his herds grew and everything, and they got really kind of big. And the king and the people were like, they're getting pretty big there. And so the king said, "Listen, Jacob. I mean, listen, Isaac. You're getting too large for our city or our area, so I think you better leave." So Isaac was like, "Yeah, okay, no problem." And so because they lived in tents and they traveled, no big deal. So Isaac went to where Abraham had been for outside of the city and started to reopen the wells. For some reason, the Philistines had closed them up. And they used those words interchangeably in the Old Testament, but they had filled in the wells. And so Isaac and his people started opening up the wells because they needed the water. And the people who were living in the area said, "Hey, what are you doing? That's our water." So Isaac was like, "Okay, okay, we'll keep moving, we'll keep moving." So they went to another area where Abraham had wells. They opened them up, and again, the people were like, "Hey, that's our water." So, and remember, there had been a famine going on, so why did they fill in the wells? I don't know, but and so Isaac like, "Okay, okay, we'll head on over further." So they went to another place, and people were like, "Oh yeah, you can have that place. It's okay. Nobody's over there. Go ahead." And so they opened up the wells. They started opening up the wells and digging new ones. And King Abimelech and again his commander and a friend came to Isaac to make a new covenant, just like the one that they made with Abraham. And Again, the place was called Beersheba. And the well hit, they were digging and they hit spring, beautiful water. And so they settled there for a while. And during this time, Esau was now 40. Esau and Jacob were now 40. He took two wives from the Hittites, and Isaac and Rebekah did not like them. They called them troublesome. The thing is probably because they were worshiping other gods, and they weren't family. They were foreigners, and actually, Isaac, Isaac, Rebekah, and Esau and Jacob were the foreigners, and the people. But he took two of the Hittites for wives. Now, in chapter 27, Isaac has gotten old. So remember, he was like 60 when the twins were born, and now the twins are 40 or in their 40s. So he's 100 something. So he's old and he lost his eyesight. And he calls Esau because he favored Esau. And he said, "Go out and hunt and get some good game and bring it back and make me a meal like the kind that I like, and I will give you my blessing." And Rebecca heard this. I do not like Rebecca. She's a gold digger. Her brother was a gold digger type person, opportunist, whatever you want to call him. So anyhow, Rebecca hears this, and now she favors Jacob, the younger son. Moms usually do. And she called and she said, "Jacob, this is what your dad's doing. So go and get two young goats, really healthy young goats, and I will make a dinner for him." And Jacob's like, "Well, he's going to know it's me." And she's like, don't worry about it, leave that to me. So Jacob went and did what his mom said. And Jacob again is like, Esau is hairy. He's going to know we're not the same. She said, "Don't worry, here's some clothes from Esau had just recently worn. For some reason, they left him in his mother's tent. I don't know why he didn't leave him with his wife's. But anyhow, so Jacob put him on, and then she took the skin off that she cut off the goats, and she put it on his arms and his hands, because goats have that hair, that short hair on there, and wrapped around his neck so that he smelled like Esau and he felt like Esau. So Jacob took the food in, and he said, "No, I'm the Esau," and he said, "No, come here, let me come closer, give me a kiss." And so he's like, "Oh, well, you smell like Esau." And he touched him and said, "You feel like Esau, but it's Jacob's voice. But you smell and feel like Esau, so you must be Esau." So he ate the stew, which was really good. And then he gave Jacob the blessing. And Jacob was actually kind of worried that he'd get cursed instead of get the blessing, but Rebecca said, "Don't worry, if there's a curse, I'll take the curse." Jacob was definitely a mama's boy. Oh my gosh, what a mama's boy! I mean, he's in his 40s, and it's like, come on, that's ridiculous. He's in his 40s, and his mom's doing everything for him. Seriously. So, and he got the blessing that, he'll be fruitful, multiply, and have this and that. And his brothers, not just Esau, but the concubine sons as well, would be his servants. So, Esau came back with the meat and made the food and took it into his dad. And his dad's like, "Well, you've already been here." He's like, "No, I haven't." And he realized what happened. And Isaac's upset about it, but he said, "It's too late. I already did the blessing." And Esau was so upset. He's like, "Well, please, you must have more than one blessing. I mean, don't I get something? It's bad enough that Jacob tricked me out of my birthright. Now he's taken my blessing." He was very upset, and I would be too. I feel really bad for Esau. And so he pleaded with his dad, and Jacob said, "Okay, I do have a blessing," and he blessed him to be. The first part of the blessing is pretty much the same as Jacob's, be fruitful, blah, blah, blah. But the end, he said, "You will be your brother's servant until you're sick of it, and then you will throw off the yoke." Now, oxen used to wear a yoke. It's like this wooden piece and leather piece, and it ties them together. And so he did get a blessing that said that he wouldn't be his brother's servant all the time. But Esau is just so angry. He's so hurt and so angry. He's like, well, kind of hoping that his father, who was in a bad way, would die pretty soon so that they could do the mourning and then he could kill Jacob. And he said that to somebody, I guess. And Rebecca heard about it and said, Jacob, you gotta leave. Your brother's gonna kill you. You've gotta leave. He said you should go back to my home and stay with with my brother, your uncle Laban. And then Rebecca went to Isaac and said, I'm worried that Jacob's gonna take Hittite wives like Esau did. You know how much we don't like them. And so Isaac was thinking about it, saying, yeah, maybe he should go back and get a wife from your home. So I do have this little thing, and it's like, Terah was Abram's father, and Nahor's father, and Haram's father. So Haram had Lot. Nahor had Bethuel, who had Laban and Rebekah from his first wife. These were all first wife ones. There's some importance there. And so they're the children of Nahor. Now, Abram had Ishmael through Sarah's servant Hagar, and Abraham and Sarah, who was also a daughter of Terah, but from another wife, they had Isaac. So you have Ishmael and Isaac, both sons of Abraham. Now Isaac had Esau and Jacob with Rebecca, who was the granddaughter of Nahor. So they're like first cousins once removed. So that's why I have the Abraham is the green and Nahor is the pink. So you get down to Esau and Jacob, and they're pink and green because they're the children of both Nahor and Abram. And now Esau, when he heard about Jacob being, I think that's in the next chapter, whatever, but he ends up marrying one of the daughters of Ishmael. So you've got the green going all the way down to Esau and his third wife. So they're really Abram's children there. But Jacob is sent over to his uncle Laban and marry daughters there. So those children are more Nahor descendants than they are Abraham's descendants. And I think that comes up later on in the Bible where Esau's children are like, but we are more Abraham's children than the Israelites are. So it's kind of interesting. They're according to this, that was right. And the Bible scholars and the Jewish scholars are saying, well, the Jewish scholars are Bible scholars too. Okay. They're calling this endomy, with the family marrying into the family back and forth. I call it incest, but if you like my videos, please subscribe. And I will talk to you again for the next chapters. Bye. Have a great weekend.